up, guys? How's it going, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, there are 42 Spider-Bots to collect in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And today we're going to take a look at every single one of them. Let me know down in the comment section below your top 3 favorites. And of course, if you do enjoy today's video, hit the thumbs up button. Let's dive in. Peter describes the first Spider-Bot as awesome and it looking like it's from the future. Well, that makes perfect sense, Pete, because this is the Spider-Man 2099 Spider-Bot, looking very cool, sporting the Spider-Man 2099 logo on the back there, which is very, very cool looking indeed. The only thing that is confusing about this one is why the black and red colorway instead of the purple and red, which is kind of what you think of when you think of Spider-Man 2099. The next Spider-Bot is one of the goofiest ones in the entire collection. This is, of course, the Spider-Ham Spider-Bot. And yes, it does have actual animation and physics for the ears and the wiggling snout as well. This next one's got a lot of spirit. I mean, straight up Spirit Halloween in this case, because this is the Spirit Spider-Bot. Holy moly, say that quickly 5 times and tell me if you succeed. This one's absolutely terrifying. What would happen if the Spider-Bot was possessed by, I guess, Ghost Rider is the best way to describe it. I never thought we would see a Spider-Bot that is wearing suspenders, but here we are. This is the Triple J, aka J. Jonah Jameson Spider-Bot, and it is absolutely incredible. One of my absolute favorites, so goofy, so fun. Very happy that they included this one in here. This next one might give you some negative vibes, but fear not, this is not Mr. Negative. It is just a Spider-Bot inspired by him. Here is the Mr. Negative Spider-Bot. Kind of a plain looking design, and I feel like it should have had more of that negative energy kind of radiating off of it, because otherwise it just looks a little bit generic. This next one, on the other hand, is not generic at all. This is the Spider-Woman Spider-Bot, and I really like the design of this one, whether it be the yellow webbing on the sides or the little webbing wing design between each one of the legs. The attention to detail on this one is absolutely spectacular, as well as a really cool looking Spider-Woman logo up top. The Spider Armor Mark II Spider-Bot is next, looking very military sorted in its design, and I just really do like this colorway. The black and gold is just a classic combination, and boy oh boy does it work well for this one. It looks very cool, and I mean, look at that cool spider logo on the back. We've got a solid foundation on this one because this is the Future Foundation Spider-Bot. Of course, for those of you that don't know, the Future Foundation is a storyline whereby Peter actually joins the Fantastic Four after the passing of the Human Torch, and they form the Future Foundation. So this is essentially a Spider-Bot inspired by that story and by the costume that Peter wore during that time. Next up, we have DUSK, or the DUSK Spider-Bot, and this one seems very plain. This almost seems like if you were to design a Spider-Bot just as its kind of base design, this is what you would come up with, and then you would apply a bunch of different patterns and designs to it. So I kind of treat this one as almost like the default Spider-Bot. For this next one, we're heading across the Spider-Verse because this is the Across the Spider-Verse inspired Spider-Bot. And my favorite part about this one is that kind of animated design that they have of those little dots and circles all over the actual Spider-Bot to give it that same effect that we saw in the actual films, which I think is very well captured here. We've got another red and black Spider-Bot and another Spider-Bot based on the Miles Morales character. This is the Ultimate Spider-Bot based on the Miles Morales Ultimate Comics outfit that he was rocking. I actually really like this one. There's something very simplistic to it, but at the same time, again, anytime you combine these two colors, I'm kind of a sucker for the black and red combination, so absolutely awesome. Now for this next one, I actually am not a big fan of this particular design. I feel like this is more kind of gray and red than black and red, and then that random addition of the bright blue ginormous spider logo is just something that I've never been a particularly big fan of, so this one is a bit of a misfire for me. And speaking of misfires, I feel like the Iron Spider Spider-Bot is a huge misfire. Not because of the visuals necessarily, but more so because of the design. The Iron Spider is known for those extra legs, so why would you not add a couple of extra legs on the back? I think that would have been such a no-brainer and such a missed opportunity to make this one extremely unique to its particular design. But the color scheme is awesome. And speaking of awesome, there is nothing better than the classic Spider bot. Classic Spider-Man, beautiful blue and red color scheme, beautiful logo on the back. I mean, just an absolutely tremendous Spider bot in this entry list. Now, if you were going to war with the spider bots, this is the closest thing that you could get to a tank. This right here is the Spider Armor Mark III spider bot, looking extremely armor plated, just a very cool looking design overall, and definitely one of the more memorable looks in the entire collection. Now, I was shocked to see this next one. Get it? Get it, guys? Because this is the Shocker Spider bot, and my oh my, this one actually looks very cool. I love the idea of taking some villains and turning them into spider bot designs. I think that's just like a really clever thing to include here, and again, it works extremely well in terms of adapting, or I guess creating inspired by villain designs for the spider bots. I wish they did this for every single villain included in the game. For this next one, we have a bit of a Lucha Libre inspired design. This is the Aracnido Jr. spider bot design. I think that this one would look a little bit better if the color of the blue had a bit more pop. I feel like it looks a little too diluted, and because of that, it just kind of looks very washed out, as if it just had the saturation turned down a little bit. So kind of a missed opportunity to make this one look a little bit cooler, but still obviously a pretty cool design to include in the game. Now, speaking of cool, there are very few things cooler than the Spider-Man Noir costume. I mean, Spider-Man Noir being turned into a spider bot while also keeping that really cool aesthetic from the SpiderVerse films with that dotted pattern design just looks so cool. And yes, we have jiggle mechanics for the hat. I mean, what could you possibly ask for more? Hey, all of you folks in the UK, fear not. You've got a little bit of representation in the game as well via the Spider UK spider bot being included, which is looking very cool. And remember what I said about the washed out blue on the Aracnido Jr. spider bot? This is the exact opposite. I love how saturated the blues are here. It looks really nice and just has a lot more pop to it overall. And of course, you do have the really cool Union Jack inspired design up top for Spider UK. Next up, we have the Stealth Spider bot, looking a little bit kind of Matrix in its colorway, but this one is actually inspired by the big time Spider-Man suit, which is not one of my personal favorites, but it does kind of work as a spider bot design. Calling all Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider fans, because guess what? You have a spider bot in the game as well. Of course, the classic 3 colorway that is associated with Gwen Stacy is indeed present for this one, along with the really cool logo up top on the spider bot. This one is definitely a pretty cool looking one. Even though, interestingly enough, when you hover over the spider bot on the actual collections menu, it is also intriguing to find out that yes, indeed, as of right now, neither one of our Spider-Man have met up with Gwen Stacy. Striking design on this one. Wonder who came up with it, is what it says. And keep that in mind, because there will be an upcoming spider bot that will kind of make you scratch your head when it comes to this. And Miles doesn't just get his Across the Spider-Verse design turned into a spider bot, but also his Into the Spider-Verse design turned into a spider bot as well. I feel like these two are a little bit too similar, with pretty much the big difference being, of course, the logo design. So I kind of wish that they would have just taken another Miles design and turned it into a spider bot instead, like maybe like the 10th anniversary with like a collar or something. Would have been kind of neat. And speaking of neat, here we have the SpiderPunk, one of the absolute coolest looking spider bots without a shadow of a doubt, with the stickers down the side of the design, which I really do like being present there. That is definitely very punk rock. The only thing that I would criticize about this spider bot is the saturation on the red. It just feels like, once again, it's a little bit desaturated, and I wish it had a bit more of a pop to it. But I guess this is not pop, this is punk rock. Oh my goodness, music jokes. Next up, we have the Scarlet Spider design. So all of you Ben Reilly fans, you'll be happy to know that he is also represented in a spider bot form within this particular game. And although this one is very simple, there is something very elegant to its simplicity. This next design, however, is not simple at all, instead going for a much more complicated look inspired by the Prowler. And I gotta say, Prowler just seems to be one of those designs that transitions very well to other costumes as we see in the game, or even Spider-Bots. Just a really sick looking design. Next up, we have a Spider-Bot that is inspired by Electro, or I guess an Electro Proof Spider-Bot, and this one looks pretty good. I feel like it definitely has that kind of like insulated sort of vibe, looking pretty neat, but not one of my personal faves. Now, unfortunately, the Mangaverse Spider-Man is not an actual suit in Marvel Spider-Man 2, but on the bright side, the Mangaverse is still represented via the Spider-Bot design that you see before you. Obviously, looking very inspired by the Mangaverse Spider-Man, a really cool cel-shaded aesthetic being applied to the actual design as well, really helps capture that particular aesthetic. The next one was an absolute surprise to me. This is, of course, Blood Spider. Just a very obscure iteration of, I guess, a spider person from the Marvel Universe, but a very cool design indeed. It actually kind of works pretty well. The only thing that I would somewhat maybe criticize would be the orange around the eye design, but other than that, I really actually quite like this particular Spider-Bot. And if you like reading Shakespeare, you probably will be a big fan of Spider-Man 1602 being turned into a Spider-Bot, with that ridiculous ruffly thing around the neck, which is, I guess, kind of appropriate. It actually does stand out as one of the more unique Spider-Bots in the entire collection. There's only one way to describe this next one, and that is sensational, because, well, this is the sensational Spider-Man Spider-Bot. Looking very cool. Again, classic colorways, classic design, and yes, it does have the sensational Spider-Man Spider logo up top. Next up is one of my favorites, and this is the Mysterio Spider-Bot. Now, there is another Mysterio Spider-Bot, spoiler alert, and that one I actually like better, but this one is still very cool looking, and again, they did such a great job of taking that idea of turning a bunch of different Spidey villains into Spider-Bots. Also, skull jiggle mechanics. Activate! Now, although Doc Ock does not get his own Spider-Bot, he does get one as Superior Spider-Man, so that is obviously pretty freaking cool. Again, if you're a fan of this particular interpretation of the Spider-Man character, you'll probably be happy to know that this one's included. The next one is one of the coolest designs in the entire collection. This is the Penni Parker Spider-Bot. Once again, has definitely that sort of aesthetic from the SpiderVerse films, while also giving it this really unique vibe with the stickers, with the kind of battle damage on the actual design. It just is a very cool looking design, and most definitely is a standout compared to the entire collection. And there are very few Spider-Bots that stand out as much as the Scorpion Spider-Bot. I absolutely love this one. I love the design of this one, whether it be the menacing red eyes or the different hues of green being utilized here. This one is just very cool looking, and it legit looks like an actual scorpion as well. The next one is very strange, to say the least. It's a Spider-Bot that has hair. This is the Anya Corazon Spider-Bot design, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Not one of my favorites. I think this is one of the worst ones included in the entire collection. But the thing that is interesting about that one is actually when we zoom out to the collections page, because the little blurb here says this one's got a Brooklyn style and feel to it. Looks like something AC would make. And so that makes you kind of think, hold up, have our Spider-Man met Anya Corazon in this universe? Because with the Spider-Gwen design, they certainly did make a point to say that they were wondering who actually would design such a Spider-Bot. Next up, we have the SpiderGirl design, which is looking pretty cool indeed. Definitely, again, a lot of overlap here, but that's also just because a lot of Spider people just have a lot of very similar aesthetics and colorways, and so because of that, there will obviously be some similarity in their Spider-Bots as well. Oh, but this one won't have any problems standing out, because this is the Rhino Spider-Bot, and I absolutely love this one, whether it be the actual like armor plating or of course the Rhino design along with the patented horns up top, looking very cool. I absolutely love this concept of creating Spider-Bots based on Spidey's villains. You want to talk about unique? This is one of the most unique ones of the bunch. This is the Spider Monkey Spider-Bot. And although it is a kind of a generic looking design overall, whether it be the colorway or the actual design, it definitely does stand out in being unique because, well, it's got a tail, and the tail is holding onto a banana, and there's tail physics, so yay. Hey, this next one is perfect. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So sorry about doing that. But this is the Black Cat Noir Spider-Bot. And again, interesting choice here that they go with the noir design for Black Cat, because otherwise, obviously, I think it would have to be a bit of a different colorway. It's kind of an okay looking design. It's definitely unique in the sense that it stands out compared to a lot of the other designs, but it also seems to kind of lack any sort of vibe of being related to Black Cat outside of the Black Cat logo up top. And if you remember me mentioning that there's another Mysterio design, here is the classic Mysterio Spider-Bot. Incredible. I love the classic colorway. I wish that this is the Mysterio that we would have actually gotten in the game, because I'm a sucker for, I guess, the classic designs, and I just think that this one looks so much cooler. I also love the idea that there's a reflection of New York City in the actual fishbowl helmet. Just a really cool design, one of my absolute favorites. And speaking of favorites, we jump from Mysterio to Vulture. Holy moly, what a freaking design. This one just looks absolutely gorgeous. It really does almost look like a bird more so than an actual Spider-Bot. There are your patented wings up top. And again, the helmet design very much captures that sort of Vulture vibe. Again, the villain Spider-Bots, in my opinion, are actually better than the hero ones. But before I say that I'll catch you on the flip side, we do need to take a look at the Flipside Spider-Bot. This is the 42nd of 42nd Spider-Bots, meaning that this is the last one in the collection. So there you have it, guys. That is every single Spider-Bot featured in the game. 42 in total that you need to collect in your collection. And of course, once you have acquired all 42 Spider-Bots, there is actually a really cool cutscene that takes place that is a reference to the SpiderVerse films. So if you're curious about what that cutscene is, well, fear not. I actually did a video breaking down all the information that you need to know from that particular cutscene, including the random character that many people don't have an idea as to who she actually is. So make sure to check out that video if you're interested. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and I'll hopefully catch you all lovely folks here next time.